I would just like to start this video by saying I hate this track. I really hate this track, and here's why. So we start on my qualifying lap at the French Grand Prix. A track that I haven't really driven too much, and when I have driven it, I've never really enjoyed it. As it stands, it's going pretty well. I currently sit between P4 and P5. I'm sort of alternating between the two. We're in the third sector, and we just need to bring the car home. Unfortunately, we don't. We run wide by the smallest of pixels, and we get an invalidation. I will say I don't blame the track for that one. Just the game, really. So if a poor qualifying wasn't bad enough already, it's wet conditions for the race. It's an okay start considering it's in the rain. There's quite a few laggy cars, and I'm overly cautious, obviously. So we lose quite a lot of positions before turn one. So it's been a fantastic start. But there's no contact. We're facing the right direction. We're P13. You know what? Pretty clean. Pretty clean. It could have been worse. The whole purpose of this opening lap really was just to stay out of trouble. Don't face the wrong direction. Don't have that happen. Yeah, that was the plan. I didn't follow it, but regardless, it's not the end of the world. It's a wet online race, so there's going to be carnage. The carnage follows quite abruptly, and we get involved in it with no fault of our own. We just get tagged on the rear, spin round. Fantastic. But again, it's fine. It's lap one. We can make a pit stop and we can make up positions. We're overly cautious coming into the pit, so I don't do a Mikey like I did in the last video. And just to rub salt on the wounds, my teammate for this race is the one other person that comes into the pit, so I lose a lot of time there. And just as the cherry on top, the pit crew take ages, and they don't fix my wing. And I showed my frustration immediately coming out of the pit. I think on this occasion I don't need to explain that. I ended up finishing this race in P10, but it was so unbelievably boring, there's absolutely no point in showing you. On to the next race. This was the race directly after the previous clip. You join me once again in France for a wet qualifying session this time. I'm sure it's going to go great. Never mind, I've spun the car. On the plus side, we get a dry race. We start at P12 after our feeble attempt at qualifying. It's an alright start. The only issue is we're surrounded by two incredibly laggy drivers, and that is absolutely terrifying. There's carnage into turn one, and thankfully we actually stay out of trouble. Despite all odds. I don't know how I'm alive. We somehow find ourselves in P7 and I don't know how I meant to pass that. That's just ridiculous. First though, we had to get past P6, and we definitely had the pace on him. It was just a matter of hitting his rear, bumping him offline, distracting him, getting in his head. These are all completely legal and legitimate moves I'm pulling here. I quite rightfully get forced off track by him. Completely fair enough. I fully deserve that. But if there's one thing I've learned from F1 Online, it's karma is a bitch. As coming through the final corner, we go to the outside, the guy behind me sends it at the inside, whacks the guy in front of me, and I'm up into P6. And I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a little bit of cockiness after that happened. That was pretty nice to see, I can't lie. The downside of going up into P6 is we now have to, try and battle this guy. And as someone that definitely hasn't seen how this plays out, I can only predict this is going to go absolutely amazing. I mean, I don't know how or what to say or how to commentate what's happening currently. I'm trying to find a move around this guy. I'm trying to predict where he is. He just... I guess I'll just play this clip. I cut the corner because I'm just so terrified. And then he just... Yeah, that happens. We spin round the wrong way. We're facing the oncoming traffic. Luckily we ghost. We go down to only P8, but honestly I'm pretty thankful to be away from that guy. Immediately though, we get sent up the inside by Dan. He's just a bit of a prick, really. That was completely unnecessary, and he's lagging too. Fantastic. I'll be honest, I was a little bit annoyed by this point, and the dive bomb up into turn one really stung a bit. So we're going to make a move on the outside of Dan. Dan doesn't want me to, so he's just going to very calmly push me off track, which angered me further. So we're going to push him back and get past him this time. That's how it's done, Dan. That's definitely how you race cleanly online. To be honest, from my experience, it's kind of the only option you've got. If you race cleanly, you're gonna just be killed. So on the following straight, Dan is coming back at us, obviously, with the help of Slipstream. Gives us a little bump on the outside, but he runs off track and very, very aggressively, I must say, comes back on track, whacks us, breaks our wing, and we're down to P13. We were battling for P5 less than a lap ago. Sick. So for the second time in this video, we are going to make an early pit stop. We're going to be very cautious as we definitely remember to set yes to repair our wing this time, and we don't do a Mikey, thankfully. So I come out the pit in P14. No, I don't. That's P16, Connor. So I come out the pit in P16, and after the eventful race I had only one goal in mind left, and that was to kill Dan. Now in my time league racing, if there's one thing that I found motivated me the most while driving, it was the idea of catching someone up to really humiliate them. So over the next few laps we go on a charge to catch Dan. He's on the hard tyre, so it should be pretty easy. We just say fuck it to the rules and start cutting corners and track extending to gain time. There's not really anything else to fight for, all we care about is taking out Dan. And by lap 8 we are right on the back of him, and he's not really driving like someone that is about to be taken out. We take a swipe at him and nothing really happens. So we send up the final corner, and he kind of just lets us through. Yeah, this is a bit, you know, a bit surprising given how he's driven before. We try to brake check him and he swerves and we fail. That's fair enough. You know, he's handled that quite nicely. He's not taking a swipe at us. He's not really fighting us. He's kind of just. He's not really reacting at all, really. This is rather anticlimactic. You know, I tried to make some content by taking out the red car because he took me out, and it just didn't work, really. And since it came up so naturally in conversation, do you know what else is red? Fuck. And since it came up so naturally in conversation, do you know what else is red? The subscribe button. That's right, it's the part of the video where the happy music plays. It's the only happy part of this video, to be honest. And I tell you to hit subscribe if you're having a good time, and if you're not, you probably value good driving over me. So as always, if you enjoy someone suffering on F1 Online, hit subscribe. We've clearly established I'm the greatest driver on YouTube. I mean, did you see that qualifying performance? That was... Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, nothing else happened for the rest of the race. We're going to finish P9, it started to rain at the end. On to the next one. Now before this this final race of the video, this is once again France. I just want to say, I recorded these all in one go as I normally do, and this was the third consecutive race I had in France. I hate France. And not only do I hate France, I was yet to have a clean race. Some of it was my fault, most of it was other people's fault. Just keep in mind, I was losing the will to live here. As usual. So you join me for the third race in France. I don't really know what happened, I just pressed the wrong button, and we're going to go into France with a top speed setup. And to anyone not familiar with the France layout, that's not good. Despite this absolute fumble, this may come as a surprise to some of you, but we actually managed to qualify P5. And I was genuinely shocked by this performance until I loaded into the next screen and saw that everyone behind me had been disqualified. So it is lights out and away we go. We've got another laggy guy ahead of us, which is just fantastic. I can't wait to be taken out by him. We're coming down towards turn number 1. We hit the back of someone, we don't get damaged luckily. But on turn 2 we just get collected by someone. And we're down to last, and nothing showed my frustration more than you know, at the end of the lap when I just completely floor it out of the final corner, go into the barrier and break my wing. Completely my fault, but I'll be honest, at this point I really didn't give a fuck. I have a bit of a minor breakdown, let's say. I just stop on track, just contemplating my decisions in life. Luckily, Mark gives us a strategy option, but we really don't care. We just immediately rage quit. I'd really had enough by this point. So yeah, that's why I hate France. Hit subscribe.